Now, this is something I've seen come up a couple of times recently, most specifically in two videos, one by Holy Koolaid and the other by Bionic Dance. And as should be no surprise at all, I kinda disagree with both of them, and I wanted to take this opportunity to explain why. So, the overall topic is the online atheist community and people taking their atheism as an identity and going all identity politics stupid on it. I entirely disagree with identity politics of all kind and have little, if any, respect for anyone who engages in it. So let's talk about an atheist community and why I think it's a really bad idea. Now, as I've said many times before, I'm not a joiner. I never have been, and I never will be. I was around back in the days that Koolaid and Bionic were talking about, and I was not a member of the atheism movement. In fact, I openly spoke out against it. I am never going to join a social movement, especially not an extremist social movement, because it costs you your individuality and individual positions in favor of speaking the talking points of the group. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to give up my individuality, and I'm not going to be a shill for a group that I don't agree with. That's simply not going to happen. Now, it's one thing to play along with others who have compatible views, speaking out and saying, I agree with this person, and that's fine. It's another thing entirely to be required to speak out on views that you fundamentally disagree with, and especially to be required to sign on to views entirely outside of your comfort zone to be considered part of a group. That's exactly what happened with the abominable Atheist Plus movement that ultimately ruined online atheism half a decade ago. And the reason for this was the far left-leaning identity politics bullshit. See, for these far left libtards, it wasn't enough to just be an atheist, to just speak out against the absurdity of religion and the clear and demonstrable damage that religion does to society. No, in fact, they had a whole raft of leftist political positions that they wanted to shoehorn into the online atheist community, and I say community in parentheses because I don't believe an actual community ever did, or to be honest, ever should exist in the first place. But they desperately tried to force atheism to mean something entirely different than what atheism actually means. And in fact, they drove a wedge between individual atheists and ultimately caused what was an effective movement to fall apart completely. Because unfortunately, these people are incapable of multitasking. They can't say, hey, I'm speaking as an atheist, and I'm going to address the concerns that I, as an atheist, have. If I have something different to say, I'll go over there and speak as a progressive, or as a libertarian, or as a conservative, or whatever. These are not things that belong together, and I don't have to have all of my various beliefs under a single hat. But they couldn't do that. They were going to pick a single label, in this case atheism, and shove every single position they held under that label, and then claiming that unless you held every single position they did, you couldn't use the label at all. And unfortunately for them, that label wasn't theirs to control. It led to regressive idiots like Richard Carrier saying things like, there's a new atheism brewing, and it's the rift we need to cut free the deadweight so we can kick the chuds back into the sewers and finally disown them once and for all. Except it doesn't work that way. Atheism means one and only one thing. It has nothing to do with social justice. It's like saying that you like Star Wars and you like some weird flavor of ice cream. Therefore, unless you like that ice cream flavor, you can't be a Star Wars fan. Anyone who doesn't see the absurd, logically fallacious nature of this claim has some serious problems. And while there were, and probably still are, a number of really regressive idiots involved with online atheism, the vast majority simply weren't. Oh, I know that most fell into some kind of politically left camp, mostly because the demographics of atheism skew very young, as do the demographics of liberalism, but very few were in the far regressive, whining snowflake variety that Atheism Plus tried to make them. And Atheism Plus tried to co-opt the whole of atheism for their own nefarious purposes when they never really had the ability or the right to do that in the first place. So it's really no different than the modern SJW idiots who think they get to redefine words anytime they want, when in fact, they don't. So what am I saying with all of this? I'm saying that we don't need an atheist community. We shouldn't have an atheist community. And I think that an atheist community is downright harmful. Instead of having some monolithic group under which all thing atheists online fall, we need to maintain our individuality and form a loose confederation of people who agree on some subjects and who can cooperate on those subjects without having to agree on all subjects under the sun. Because to do that is insanity and ultimately doomed to fail. I'm not going to become a member of some online group. I'm just not. But if you and I are effectively saying the same thing, then I might join in to help you or have you help me on some project. I might lend my voice to yours and be open to you lending your voice to mine if it helps in some larger goal. But I don't have to sign some loyalty oath or join a group or learn a special handshake. That's not how this is going to work. Trying to control atheists is like herding cats. It just doesn't work, and it deflects from the real goal, the elimination of religion and the equal rights for all in the religious sphere. I really don't care as an atheist what your views on race are. I couldn't care less as an atheist what your views on gender are. Those are concerns entirely outside of atheism. I'm capable of wearing multiple hats, and it's really a shame that so many people are not. I also don't have to be your best friend or soul partner because we happen to agree on certain things. I don't even have to like you if I don't want to, but I can work with you on certain projects without wanting to be around you at all on others. Why people are so all or nothing on things, I just don't understand. Therefore, I don't want an online atheist community to return any more than I want online political communities to exist. We're all individuals. We should all act like individuals. Where we have commonality, let's collaborate. Where we don't have to. I don't have to agree with your politics to enjoy what you have to say about religion and vice versa. I follow plenty of people whose politics I agree with, but whose religion I do not. I can separate different views into different categories and enjoy one category while disagreeing with another. Rational people can do that. The irrational, sadly, cannot. So, what do you think? Should there be some big comprehensive group of atheists online, or should we all be individuals who join forces where we agree that we should? Regardless, I wasn't part of the atheist community before, and I never will be in the future. I am not a joiner. I'm not going to sign away my individual sovereignty because some group wants me to. I'm not going to change my social or political views so that I can fit in and get to be part of some grand atheist collective. It's just not going to happen, and I really hope I'm not alone in that. I'm capable of respecting some views of another individual and not others, and not treat them like they're terrible in everything they do because we're not part of some kind of weird Vulcan mind meld. That seems bizarre to me, but if you disagree, let me know in the comments. That's how conversations start after all.